Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 112 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on May 10th, 2022. How you folks doing? Man, I'm doing pretty good this fine evening. I just got finished with doing a lot of ATF compliance work this past weekend and stuff. Gosh, that was really exciting. If you've ever wandered into the monotony that is ATF compliance as an FFL SOT, hit that subscribe button. No, it's so terrible. It is. But it's worth it, I think. Yeah, it is. Don't let it scare you if you own a business and you're looking to get your federal firearms license, your FFL. Some folks discourage it. I say go for it. I really do. If your business can benefit from it, I think it can certainly pay dividends. But the record keeping is super important, though. So, there's no free lunch. Keep that in mind. And you got to remember, the purpose of the ATF is to track things. That's right. So if they give you a permission slip to do something, it's really for them to track everything you do. It's in their nature. They know no other way. So it is written. So it will always be. Strong week, though. Deep into productivity. So let's get this bread, fam, shall we? When we rest, we will be able to relax and shoot suppressed and all that good stuff. And how would you do that at the end of a long day? How would you shoot a suppressed weapon? Well, maybe you can get a silencer from Silencer Shop. That's right. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and your photos electronically, and in turn, you can cut down on errors. You can simplify your silencer purchasing process. That's right. You get a money-back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. That's right. And secondly, this podcast is brought to you by True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. How do they support the podcast? Well, it's simple. You click the link in the show notes of the episode here. You go to pewscience.com/podcast, and there's some links. It takes you to their website. If you buy ammo using their link there, it helps the podcast and Pew Science. Done. Pretty easy. And if you like to join their A-Zone membership, their frequent buyer programs like the Amazon Prime for ammo, you get free shipping on all of your ammo for the whole year. You can get a discount on that. Use code word Pew Science. Get $20 off that membership. You win, they win, you help the podcast boom. Pretty easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, that's right. And finally, and most importantly, the J Situation Podcast is brought to you by Pew Science. Pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. Please visit pewscience.com for the silencer sound standard and the suppression rating. The simplest and the most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. And it's all based on true human sound perception, hearing damage risk of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. That's right. And the suppression rating is in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. Section 6 contains all the reviews, and then Section 7 summarizes everything in a table. That's right. Section 7 is aptly called rankings, because that's exactly what it is. You can sort it, you can filter it, and go wild. That's right. It's all there for you 24/7. That's right. The Silencer Sound Standard on pewscience.com truly is a compendium of the most in-depth, accurate, meaningful, and comprehensive information for suppressed small arm sound signatures, probably in the entire world, public or private, I would say. It's pretty cool. So you should go there, pewscience.com. If you like it and you also like the podcast, you can join with a membership. You can. And you can also donate if you like. Your support is appreciated. And if you're a silencer manufacturer listening, you can reach out directly through the website for quotes or professional services. We do that all the time. pewscience.com. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Rate the podcast on Spotify. Rate it on iTunes. It helps, guys. We're going to normalize the use of suppressed small arms, and it shall be glorious. So let it be written. So let it be done. I got 4 topics for you today. That was a pretty fast intro. Yeah. Okay. Topic 1. Sound Signature Review 674, the Silencer Central Banish 30 on Supersonic 308 bolt action. Technical discussion. This review came out last week. Let's talk about it. Topic 2, the MP5 is important. Let's talk about why you need to understand the difference between the full-size MP5 and the MP5K. That's the SP5 versus the SP5K PDW for all of us that use the civilian versions of these firearms. That's right. Topic 3, upcoming testing. Yes. Excitement? Always. Stay tuned, friends. Nice armament silencers? Oh my gosh, they're multiplying that too. And then finally, topic 4, thank you for your support. I really do mean that. True grassroots support is rare, and, Pew Science members, you knock it out of the park. Your contributions to the effort are changing the industry and the state of practice. That's true. It really is. I really do mean that. Okay, topic 1, a time of 5 minutes. 29 seconds. Is that a record? I'm looking at my sheet here. I mean, it's not a record forever, but dude, that's the fastest we've done that. I shortened a little bit of my long-winded ad reads, so let's move into topic 1. Sound signature review 674. That's right, Silencer Central. Banish 30 on a supersonic 308 bolt action. Technical discussion. Man. Boy, howdy. You would not believe the demand for this data and analysis. If I told you, you'd be like, are you serious? Like, I am. Turns out a lot of people own a Banish 30 or are waiting on the approval for a Banish 30 or are interested in the Banish 30. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is a Silencer Central silencer. Say that 3 times fast. We spoke about this before when I spoke about the Banish 30 Gold review I did in Sound Signature Review 669. Nice. Yeah, Silencer Central is what I like to call it's like a total picture company. I don't know if that is a phrase or not. I literally just made that up. But I mean, what I mean by that is they directly manufacture or they control the manufacturing of a product, right? Then they distribute it and they sell it. So there aren't any big steps in between their business contact with the product and the customer. You feel me? So they don't farm out the silencer to other distributors or dealers to sell, right? So they have their distribution with their dealers, like all in one. That's a little wild, right? Like I mentioned this when I spoke about the Banish 30 Gold because it was interesting to me, and it's still interesting to me. I don't see any other silencer companies doing that. At least at the time this podcast is being recorded. So I thought that was interesting. There are some that have exclusive relationships with distributors, for sure, but not like this, right? Not like this. So Silencer Central is the distributor. It's like, what? I don't know. When I found out about that, I was like, really? That's cool. I don't know. I guess I get a kick out of like little things like that. Anyway, so testing this silencer was part of the contracted test series for Silencer Central, right? So Silencer Central approached Pew Science for testing and other services, and then here we are. It's the same effort as the Banish 30 Gold in review 669, and now this is the Banish 30. Okay, different silencer. It's a completely different silencer. Okay, I just wanted to tell you kind of the origins of this, and with demand and Silencer Central approaching us to do it, that's kind of wanted to give you the backstory. Okay, so yeah. So, what is different between the Banish 30 Gold and the Banish 30, right? Okay, so let's go to the website. You can follow along at home if you like. If you're new to the podcast, this is going to get a little technical, but don't be scared. Hold my hand. I will lead you through the forest of non-confusing silencer research. That's correct. I'm going to do my best. Go to the website, Sound Signature Review 674. It's the latest one there. Go ahead and pull that up. I'll pull up the member review. I'm going to rearrange my windows so I don't lose my place. Okay. That's reasonable to do. Yeah, it's reasonable. Okay. So, right off the bat, I think it's probably important to talk about what are the similarities and the differences between the Banish 30 Gold and the Banish 30. Because you already saw me review the Banish 30 Gold, and if you haven't seen that, again, that's review 669. Nice. You can go check that out on the website. Now, both silencers are 30 caliber. They're both rifle silencers, okay? So that's important to know. It's pretty important. Also, both silencers are user serviceable, which is cool, right? And that is actually not very common. It's not very common for you to have a user serviceable rifle silencer on the market. It's just not something you see a lot. I mean, it's not that it's impossible to see, it's just not common. So that's the similar stuff. Okay, they're both 30 caliber rifle silencers. They're both user serviceable. That's the similar stuff. Now, what's different between the two? Well, there's actually a few things that are different. Now, forget about the length and the weight. That's easy. That's stuff you can look at and see. But now you can consider the major differences here. So number one, Banish 30 is modular. Okay, that's right. So 2 lengths, kind of like the Rugged Surge. You feel me? So that's different. That's a different part. That's different than the Banish 30 Gold you saw before, yeah? Yeah. Also, Banish 30 is direct thread. That's right. Remember the Banish 30 Gold? The Banish 30 Gold used those mounts, those taper mounts that are like the Thunder Beast mount with the threads that are, I think that the tapers behind the threads on those mounts. So unlike that, the Banish 30 doesn't have that. It just threads directly to your barrel, directly to your gun. Yeah. And then also another major, it's actually a major difference between the two silencers. The baffles are different in the Banish 30. That's right. Yeah. Remember how the Banish 30 Gold, it had a ton of those truncated straight cone baffles, like a bunch of them? The Banish 30 has fewer. They have fewer baffles in there, and they're curved cones. They're not truncated straight cones. Different baffle. Less of them, too. Interesting, right? Yeah. So those are the 3 main differences. The modularity, the mount, and the baffle type. Okay, yeah. So you feel me? That's the 3 differences between the silencers, and I thought that was important to tell you up front before we get started, because you might get confused. Like, oh, well, Banish 30 Gold and the Banish 30 have a similar name. You know? But given all these things I just said, you see now that this is a completely different silencer. Okay, I want to make sure you understand that. I actually said it up front in both reviews because I wanted people to understand that straight away. I don't want confusion. Confusion's bad. Okay, so, and I know it can be confusing when a silencer's name is similar to another silencer's name, especially by the same company. So, just trying to do my best to keep things straight. Okay, let's dig in here. So, bottom line up front, and if you're new to the podcast, I will go through numbers. It's okay. You don't have to pull up the review when I'm going through it. But for those of you who do, it may help a little bit if you're a visual learner like me. We all learn differently. Yeah. So bottom line up front, 39.1 composite suppression rating. That's for the long configuration, okay? So that's the full configuration of the silencer. When you take off the end of it and you only use it in the short configuration, the composite suppression rating is going to drop. Why would that be? Well, common sense. It gets a little louder when you make it shorter. How much louder does it get? Well, it drops from 39.1 to 34.3, so not a huge difference. Still in the same zone on the suppression rating chart for the 20-inch bolt action. 308, yeah? Yeah. Same basic, like deer hunting rifle. Same zone on the suppression rating chart, okay? So hopefully that gives you a window into the performance and how appropriate it would be, for use cases on such a weapon if you were to change length. That's big picture. Okay, I'm just big picture. You're sitting in the you're in the minimal suppression zone. You were at 39.1. You're getting to the high part of that zone. You're definitely above the limited hunting engagement zone. You're sitting pretty for a deer rifle. That's kind of what the Banish 30 offers you in both configurations. You feel me? Okay, that's good to understand. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Now, in the full configuration, 28.8 at the muzzle, 38.4 at the ear. Okay, that's a 10-point difference between muzzle and ear. Yeah, category rating jump. Why? Barrel standoff. It's a 20-inch barrel. Okay, so far away from your head, yeah. That's good for you. That's good. 20-inch barrel, that's good. That's good for you. What happens in the short configuration? 21.1 at the muzzle, 33.9 at the ear. Even bigger difference between muzzle and ear. Why? Well, it's louder. We already know that. And decay is exponential. We know that. So it can get quieter faster between muzzle and ear. Same distance, you start with something quieter, your delta could significantly increase between muzzle and ear due to the way the sound field is shaped and the fact that we have exponential decay. Okay? So, just make sure I'm not speaking Greek to you. You're higher on the exponential decay curve. The slope is steeper. So your horizontal axis, if you were to slide on that, you're sliding the same distance on the exponential decay curve because of the same distance from your head to the end cap. Or I'm sorry, it's not really. It's because you shorten it, but you're starting with a higher sound pressure, and you're still far away. Okay, so that exponential, you're so much higher on the curve that the slope is higher. So moving around the same distance on the curve is going to net you a bigger drop. I hope that makes sense. I realize that might be confusing, but anyway, that's why. Sound pressure decay when you have more flow can occur pretty quickly. And you'll see this as an artifact on longer barrel guns. Now, when you go to shorter barrel hosts, it gets a little more complicated. And it's not quite as forgiving sometimes because everything's like right on your face. But when you give the wave time to relax and time to expand and decay, you can pay dividends. And that's one of the reasons why your deer rifle, your 20-inch bolt action, is a really great silencer host for supersonic cartridges, even with 308, because it's so far away from your head. It's one of the great things about it. You can put a shorter, louder silencer on your 20-inch bolt gun and come out okay sometimes. And that's one of the reasons why short hunting silencers exist. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's so loud." It's like, it is. But think about the use. Okay? Think about the use. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. I think it should. Now, again, please be careful with the phenomenon of judging the difference in muzzle and ear suppression ratings from different guns, even on the same gun, because on this one you're sort of playing in the same PI space, which we talked about recently, right? So it's a pretty good guide, but when you drastically change the combustion dynamics of a system, it can really throw you for a loop. So just be careful, okay? Okay. So now let's look at some data. Yeah, let's scroll down. Scroll down in the review. So I just went over the suppression rating. Hope you understand kind of where you're sitting in there. We can talk about that more later, but that, overall you're pretty much sitting in the minimal suppression zone, the 30 to 40 range at the shooter's ear, okay? And the bystanders there are going to be sitting in the higher part of the limited hunting engagement. So if you're shooting with a buddy and he's right next to your gun there, or you have a dog with you, keep that in mind. Okay, dogs have ears too. They do. We should do dog pew science. That'd be hard. Dogs have different ears. Let's look at some data. Scroll down. You see table 1. I'm in the member review, so members see some pressure and impulse at the shooter's ear. Good stuff. Okay, let's check out figure 1. Scroll all the way down. You can see this in the public review, figure 1. Fingerprint, that's right. What do you see right off the bat? What do you see? What do you see right away? Well, for those of you new to the podcast and new to sound signature reviews, and maybe you're new to Pew Science, welcome. Don't feel bad if I start to lose you. It's okay. That's normal. You can always pause it and rewind. You can also email me. And for those of you who have been listening a while and still get confused, that's okay too. Now, to my fellow autistic, insane silencer nerds, glad to have you. Now, what do you see right away in figure 1? Internal combustion, yeah. Bullet leaves, and then bam, low amplitude jetting. That's interesting. Just like the Banish 30 Gold. Just like the Banish 30 Gold. Yeah. Just like a lot of silencers actually. Low amplitude jetting, and then a gradual release of gas. Building and building and building until you get the first major jet, and then continue jetting in late time. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah. What do we call a silencer that does this? What do we call that? We call it a silencer that has a relatively high flow restriction. That's right. Trapping gas in the silencer for a longer period of time is one of the signs that a silencer produces more back pressure. That's right. More flow restriction on a host weapon. And I know the time is very short on the horizontal axis there in figure 1. I know. But we have determined that when there is more aggressive jetting earlier in time, that the silencers usually have lower back pressure. It takes a bit more examination of the waveforms to really compare, and that's why we have the omega metric. But we can talk about that later. But that's just the long and short of that in figure 1 there. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Pretty standard stuff here for the Banish 30. Given the baffle design, is nothing really surprising. Like really in the first shot. This first shot here, we're still in figure 1. In the first shot, in this early time signature, the major difference, grossly, between the Banish 30 and the Banish 30 Gold is that the Banish 30 Gold just has a lower amplitude across the entire event. Just grossly. That's a gross difference. Okay, that's the gross major difference. Now, let's gas out a little slower. The Banish 30 Gold did. Why? Why did that happen? Why is gas getting out a little bit faster with the Banish 30 in the long configuration than the Banish 30 Gold we previously looked at? Why? Why is there a different gas dump? Well, there were more baffles in the Banish 30 Gold than there are in the Banish 30. And it's a different type of baffle too. Not huge differences here, right? But enough differences to see. And you understand why. This is consistent. Yeah. So this is a consistent performance, which is good. It's one thing, these baffles, they have a keyed notch, so you can key them together. Because, when you can take the silencer apart, yeah? So you can make sure that the baffles align correctly when you put them back in the tube if you take it apart. So that part's important because, you want to align the Form 1 guys call it clipping. But the notches that are machined in the baffle mouths, you want to align those, yeah. And so that you want to make sure that all the baffles are aligned when you put them back in the tube. So they have little notches that can do that on the actual baffle edges. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so aligning the notches is good typically for performance. Probably. Depends on the silencer, but it's usually good. Yeah, okay, now let's go back to the data. So let's check out the first round pop. And let's check out the consistency of it. Let's scroll down and go to figure 3. Yeah, figure 3. There's some other consistency stuff you can see is pretty cool. But, skip figure 2 for now. And then, figure 3. Okay, figure 3A and figure 3B. Right. So right away in figure 3A, you see rather long blowdown. Yeah. But you knew that was going to happen in figure 3A. You knew that. Because you knew that given the fingerprint we talked about just a second ago, we knew that it was going to take gas a while to get out of here. And this is, keep in mind, this is all one story. Okay? This is all fits together. This is the silencer sound standard. Guys, this is 6.74. It's all one story, all consistent. Let's keep turning the page. We're just turning pages in this book, baby. That's all we're doing. Yeah. Isn't that great? It's all consistent? Yeah. Now look at figure 3B. 3B is where it's really interesting. You're seeing incredible consistency with shot 2. Shot 1 and shot 2 are laying right on top of each other, per typical. With this type of silencer, that's what we would expect. That's great data integrity. We're like, this is awesome. And then something happens. What happens? Right when you think the low amplitude jetting is going to come back up in shot 2, it doesn't. It stays low for about another half a millisecond or so in shot 2 compared with shot 1. And you can see it's clear as day in figure 3B. Why does it happen? FRP is gone. The FRP is gone, so we're dealing with pure suppression now. Yeah. Super similar in early time. Like always, but the deviation in late time is what gets you, doesn't it? And that, my friends, is why PewScience records the entire waveforms. That's right. It all starts with real complete data. Without that, you are lost. This is the standard pedigree. Okay, so just to put that in perspective, every review, and this is, for those of you new to the podcast, it's important for you to know this. Every review you've seen on pewscience.com has complete waveforms. That's right. So some folks might be used to seeing that and understand that. But if you're new to this, it's a really, really big deal. It is. Nobody in the world has shown you that. So it's so far. So it's important to keep that in mind when you look at these things, that you're seeing the entire blowdown. Like in figure 3A. It's important to know that the entire gunshot was measured. It's important to see that. Okay, so another way of looking at the data is to change spaces. Yes, let's take a trip to the land we call impulse space. Okay, this is the area under the pressure time curve expressed over time. You were just looking at pressure curves. Let's integrate those, and we shall look at the area under that curve over time. We will call that impulse. Yeah. It's figure 4. 4A, 4B. I tell you what, this is I love computing impulse to show you, and I love it just highlights such wonderful behavior. It highlights real physics, and it's so great that we can look at this because it's such a great visual aid for folks that don't get it. Oftentimes do get it when we look at impulse. That's what I found. So if you look at figure 4, figure 4A and 4B, I tell you what, that right away, if you can read colors, which I know some of you are colorblind, the black curve is shot 1, the first curve there, and you can't miss it. That's a big first round pop. Yeah. Yes, friends, it is. Now, the inner ear modeling that we do at PewScience tells us that the folks near the muzzle measurement location are going to notice this in a big way. They're going to notice it, and members, you guys see more detailed information for the phenomenology at the ear, okay? And so there are some surprising results at the ear on this gun in this configuration. I would urge you to read that if you're a member, okay, and you haven't checked out the review yet. Okay, but in the public review, you can see that bystanders are certainly going to hear the difference, and so you're going to want to keep that in mind. Okay, you have a very large FRP. Now, what that does for the shooter, well, it's a little different, and I think that the members see that. Now, keep in mind. So this is the information in the public review on the full configuration, the long configuration of the silencer. Now, what happens when we shorten it? Yeah, remember, we could shorten the silencer. Well, let's look. I put that in the review. That's right. Check out sections. This is in the public review, section 6.74.2. That's right. Another test. Same review, same exact silencer. We just took the end off. What changes? Now, what changes? What can you expect when you take the end off the thing and you make it shorter? You reduce the amount of baffles. Well, scroll all the way down. Figure 7. Figure 7A, 7B. Let's look at the fingerprint. We always look at fingerprints, PewScience. You can see something interesting. You can. Yeah. Immediately. What do you see immediately? We just looked at the fingerprint and the comparison of shot 1 and shot 2 for the long configuration. Now we're looking at the short configuration. What do you see immediately? Immediately you see greater combustion divergence when you compare the second shot to the first shot, don't you? It's bigger and it's faster, meaning it happens earlier and it's more significant. Yeah. Figure 7A and 7B. Really changing the flow here, guys. Really changing the flow. Yeah. First of all, faster blowdown. Figure 7A. You can see that. It's plain as day. Compare that to the previous. Just so I make sure not to lead you astray here. What was that figure? Oh, yeah. If you go up to 3A with a long configuration, look at the blowdown time. And look at figure 7A and look at the blowdown time. Different. That's right. Different silencer. Why? We shortened it. Different. Let's gas out faster now. It's shorter. This is old hat for Pew Science veterans, but this might be completely new for you. And that's okay. We all learn at different rates, different speeds, and we're all at different places. But it's important to understand what's going on. Okay. Now, that's the major difference, the blowdown time. But then look at figure 7b. Earlier onset jetting. That's right. That's right. And when the jetting experiences that earlier onset, it's more intense. Particularly during the first shot. Yeah, and what does that mean? Well, what does it all mean? Well, it means the short configuration flows faster than the longer one. It's louder, and the FRP is more severe. That's what it means. So it's somewhat predictable, right? I mean, you make it shorter and it's louder, and then the FRP gets worse. I mean, and for a simple design like this, that result actually shouldn't be that surprising to you. Yeah, and this is frankly, this is kind of interesting. It's actually a great case study. I love silencers like this because it's a great case study in the efficacy of Pew Science data and analysis. You see, it literally shows consistent behavior one should expect from a simple silencer design. Oh, my dog's hungry. Oh, babe. Mrs. Pew Science is out of town, so I gotta feed the dog. I'm sorry, honey. I'll give you some food soon. The dog is hungry. She's wanting pets, though. Gotta pet her. She's an Australian Shepherd. She's a very good dog. Okay, well, I'll feed you in a little bit, okay? I'll feed you in a little bit. Oh. She's such a good dog. I need a visual element to this podcast. All right. Okay, now the dog's freaking out. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. Guys, I'm back. Man, I looked like she was out of water. She was just drinking water a second ago. I must have, because it's hot outside now. I think she's going through the water faster, but I gave her some extra chicken broth on her food there. She's a good dog. Okay, she's happy. Where was I? Sorry, the consequences of having a dog in the studio. That's right, studio, my office. Right. I was talking about the first round pop getting louder when you shorten the Banish 30. That's right. And it's pretty, and that makes sense. Oh, that's right. And that's what I was saying. I was saying that this is overall it's a really good case study in the efficacy of Pew Science data. All the analysis and the data is very consistent. And so even I love reviews like this because it takes one silencer, it changes the configuration, and it shows how the behavior really changes. I mean, you see this from silencer to silencer, but the micro case studies are really, really effective. You know, you see it with this, you see it with the Surefire silencers with different mounts. It's such a standard. It's almost like the silencer sounds standard when you think about it. I'm being silly, but I named it the silencer sound standard because I wanted to set the standard, and I wanted it to be a standard, and I wanted it to be a pedigree, and I wanted it to be good, something we could count on, that it could be a beacon that we could always find in the dark. I wanted it to be a light, and I think it is. Okay, so let's look at the big picture now. This is, I think, it's important. It's important to understand that basically, big picture, the changes between the Banish 30 Gold, then you go to the Banish 30, and then you go to the Banish 30 Short and Long. It's important to understand all this. I know it might not be the most sexy silencer for some of you, but it's a non-trivial amount of proliferation in the market, and it's important to understand. So let's look big picture. Let's look at figure 11. Scroll down. All the way down. I'm just going through the member stuff. Okay, figure 11, and this is getting really long. Now, this is this figure 11 contains a lot of the silencers on a long bar graph, and these graphs are getting too big. It's almost cumbersome to look at them like this. I need to do some different data visualization for these 308 reviews. There's so many silencers now. It actually might help to use the rankings when I talk about this. Let's first. That might be better. Before we do that, let's for a second, while we're here, let's take a look at the figure 11. Okay, scroll down on figure 11 so you're near the bottom there. Now, The flow rate, I'm looking at Omega metrics. The flow rate of the Banish 30 in its long configuration is sitting somewhere between a Thunder Chicken and a Banish 30 Gold. Pretty close. Okay, pretty close. But, you look at that, right? You're like, I wonder, that's interesting. Well, it's really interesting. The Thunder Chicken is quieter. It's interesting, right? Thunder Chicken has a lower back pressure than the Banish 30, and it's a little quieter than the Banish 30. So that's interesting. Yeah. And then the Banish 30 Gold, well, that has a little bit higher back pressure than both of those silencers, but it's also quieter than both of those silencers. This is a little more flow restriction. A little more back pressure than both, but it's also quieter. That's interesting. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, but then when you shorten the Banish 30, well, you scroll up in the table, it's all the way to the top. Well, it has lower back pressure than the vented KGM R30. I thought that was interesting. This is pretty much on par, though. I mean, it's different, but it's like, how different is that? It's not that much different. I just thought that was interesting. So it's basically on par with that as far as flow goes. Then when, well, it's not quite as quiet as the KGM R30 vented, but the back pressure is similar. So I thought that's interesting. It actually, what that shows? It really shows the vented R30 and how that performs with regard to back pressure and sound suppression balance. That's interesting. So I think that the R30 is an interesting silencer too. Yeah. Okay, so I think we should use the ranking section because it's going to be more productive in how to look at this, because the chart in Figure 11 is great, but I really like the ranking. We're going to see the ranking section become a little better here now. Excuse me. Let's go ahead. Okay, I'm pewscience.com/rankings. That's section 7. The standard is scroll down to the table here where you can sort. I'm going to go ahead and filter. I'm going to click the ammunition tab, and I'm going to hover only over Supersonic 308. I'm going to click the only button. Okay, cool. Okay, so I have that selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort by composite suppression rating ascending. Okay, so you can click the column headings multiple times and it'll sort up and down. Okay, so I'm going to click it enough so that it's ascending. All right, meaning that we're going to be looking at the loudest 308 bolt action system at the top, the lowest suppression ratings. And as we go down, it'll get quieter, the numbers will get higher. Okay? Okay, cool. Okay, so you have to go down the table a bit here. Yeah. You'll hit the Banish 30 in the short configuration, about not quite midway down. Okay, lower third or so. Okay. Go down a bit. You see, it looks like the Banish 30 Gold in the short configuration is a little bit quieter to the shooter on this gun. A little bit quieter than the Trash Panda, I guess. Yeah, a little bit quieter. Okay, so looking at the numbers, it's a little bit quieter to bystanders. Actually, a lot quieter to bystanders. A little bit quieter to the shooter. Okay. So you can be pretty confident that the short configuration of the Banish 30 is quieter on your hunting rifle than the Trash Panda. Okay. Cool. That's a good peg point, right? This is easy. You look at the suppression rating table, you're like, wow, and you know what's really crazy? Look at that. The sound signature review numbers are in there. The Q Trash Panda was sound signature review 4. The Silencer Central Banish 30 is sound signature review 74. That is so crazy. 70. And yet we can compare the suppression rating together. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. That's the important part of all this. Yeah. So it's a little bit quieter than the Trash Panda in the short configuration. The Banish 30, when you shorten it, it's kind of like a Trash Panda that's a little quieter on your bolt gun. Great peg point. Then, a little quieter than both those is the Harvester from Silencer Co. It's quieter to bystanders, but that dang anchor brake on the front of the harvester really tanks it at the ear, so it's kind of still the same as at the ear as the other two silencers, even though it's quieter to bystanders. It's because the way the waveforms act in the sound field close to the shooter is just not as good. It's that dang anchor brake. That silencer co, though, it's an old silencer, and they figured out that they should let people remove that anchor brake. Remember? But then back then with the Harvester 300, they didn't have it removable yet, did they? Yeah, so they didn't know what they were doing then. And they learned, and then they include the anchor brake with the Omega, but you can take it off. Yeah. It's important. It's important to understand that. We talked about that ad nauseum when I reviewed the Omega and the Harvester, did some comparison. Now, moving along in the table, further down, you have you got the OSS, HXQ 762, you got the Otter Creek Labs, PR30S, you got the Hyperion K from CGS. Really, you're basically, with this short Banish 30, you're basically almost hanging with those, kinda. And it's a K can, so it makes sense. It's not really a K can. It's kind of a shortened version of the silencer, so it makes sense. It isn't until you get to the Omega, you get to the Nomad, the old Nomads, the Surefire SOCOM 762 RC2, that you really get it quiet enough to then you come close to the suppression rating of the Silencer Central Banish 30 in the long configuration, right? That's when you're really moving into a different class of silencer, because the Silencer Central Banish 30, the silencer you can go long, go short or long, so it's one silencer, but it can kind of span this performance gap across all these other ones on a bolt gun. It's interesting, right, to see what it can hang with in the short configuration and then see what it hangs with in the longer one. So it's like, oh, well, my short one's not quiet enough. Okay, put the end modular on. Well, now it's quieter than Omega, and it's quieter than Surefire, and it's basically doing what a Sam L does to the shooter, right? It's basically what it's doing. It's basically a Sam L at the shooter 0 on a bolt gun in the long configuration. So isn't that interesting? So the Banish 30, depending on the configuration, it's sitting toward the top of the short silencer list on the gun and kind of in the lower half of the long silencer list on the gun. It's reasonable. It's reasonable due to the baffle type in the silencer, right? And the configuration of it and the number of baffles, I think that's reasonable. Okay, so what do you want? If you want to go Silencer Central, you want something quieter. Well, you got to go Banish 30 Gold. And then that's going to push you. That's going to push you a little bit quieter than the Rugged Surge in the long configuration. You feel me? So you see what I mean? To get quieter, you got to work, and you got to change the design, and that's what they did. So you see now I hope you're seeing now where the Banish 30 in the configurations fit in, and then the Banish 30 Gold from before. You see the rankings table, dude. This rankings table though, it's good. Isn't that cool? I hadn't really looked at it in a while in this way, so it's good stuff. I like it. I like that you guys use it, and I like that I can use it, and everyone can. It's awesome. Yeah, I really like how this table turned out. I've been thinking about how to change it, but right now I like it. Yeah. So there you have it. That's really it. Silencer Central Banish 30, 2 lengths, user serviceable. Kind of like a Sam L in suppression performance, but way lighter for hunting. It's really not guys, this is not a machine gun silencer. Do not abuse these Banish silencers. It's not going to be good for them. It's not really what they're made for. So yeah. You can make it shorter. You can make it longer. Kind of like a Trash Panda when it's short. That's a little quieter. Sound like a Sam L in suppression when it's louder. Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's a really good objective performance way to sum that up. The Banish 30 can be like a Sam L or it can be like a Trash Panda in hearing damages to you depending on the length on a bolt gun if you're the shooter. Is that fair to say? I think that's fair to say because that's what the data says. That's literally an objective statement. That's right. Yeah. Oh, and it's user serviceable. So you can take it apart to clean it. So there you go. So now we have these data points. Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for the 300 blackout subsonic data for this silencer later. We've done that too. I have to get some other stuff first. So you just have to wait a moment for it, but it's coming. I think that'll be okay. You can wait. Yeah. I think that's okay. So yeah. All in all, I'm glad to be able to showcase this silencer. I think it's been out a while. A lot of people are wondering about it, so I hope this helps. Yeah, and thank you sincerely to Silencer Central for trusting Pew Science to do this. It's a really big deal to me, and consumers might not understand it. That how big a deal that is. The fact that Silencer Central reached out to Pew Science to make this happen is a pretty big deal. Okay, I'm honored to be trusted with a task like this. I think it speaks volumes for the effort. I think it kind of speaks volumes about Silencer Central. I think that's kind of cool. They just let me test it, and you see the results. You see where it falls in the mix. This is pretty black and white, guys. So they definitely trust me to do it, and I feel like it's a pretty big responsibility to do something like this, and I do take that seriously. So thank you to them, and thank you to all you for checking it out. It means a lot. Okay, I hope that helped a lot. I hope it did. All right, let's move into topic 2 at a time of 46 minutes and 13 seconds. All right, let me get some water real quick here. I'm hungry. I just realized I haven't eaten, and I fed the dog. See, I try to feed the dog after I eat. The dog shouldn't eat before you. That's not right. It's like, well, and you know what? She was crying. She has me wrapped around her finger, that dog. She knew she's crying. She knows what she did. These dogs, man, we think we have them trained. They train us. Topic 2. The MP5 is important. And I wanted to talk about this is a really short topic, but I've just been messing with these SP5s. I want to talk to you real quick about what you need to understand regarding the difference between the full size and the MP5K. Okay, and then, really I've been messing with the SP5s and SP5K PDWs, just really cool guns. I'm just still elated that we have them now in the United States. Brand new German guns, German roller guns. Like, that's so crazy. A lot of people aren't really attracted to these because they're big on other 9mm sub guns, and that's cool. I get it. But I think it's for people in my generation that kind of missed out on the HK94s. I feel like the fact that the SP5s are here is just like, what? I don't know. So yeah, I just wanted to give a quick public service announcement. I want to make sure you understand what you're doing when you use a shorter barrel on a weapon. Okay, this is just a quick PSA for you guys. I just, let's not lose sight of it. Just because we're going from rifle to subgun, I just want you guys to understand something, okay? So, and look, I can already tell you folks are going to understand this pretty quickly when suppressing short barrel 9mm shoulder fire weapons. You need, I'm fairly confident in Pew Science members for this. Now, I was doing some basic function testing with the new hosts and messing with locking pieces in both guns, right? I can tell you it's going to be an interesting dynamic subgun testing. We did some in the early days of PewSoft. We did some in the early days of Pew Science, and revisiting this subgun testing, it's going to be fun. I'm psyched, but you guys are going to need to realize that the longer barrel and the full-size MP5, it's going to behave in ways similar to how you're used to understanding the longer barrel behavior in rifles. Okay, so it's going to change the pressure entering the silencer. Yeah. And it's going to change the distance from the end cap to the shooter's ear. Yeah. So, with regard to the two reciprocating systems in the two guns too, that's different too. So in the MP5, we're actually changing more than barrel length, and that's important for you to understand. This is unique. This is somewhat unique. It's not like an AR where, the Mark 18 and maybe an 18-inch barrel might have the same bolt carrier group. It's different in the MP5. Okay, they're both the MP5K and the MP5. They're both roller delayed blowback, but the bolt carrier on the MP5K, it's smaller and lighter. Okay, and the travel distance in the receiver is shorter because the receiver's shorter. The travel distance is shorter because the receiver is shorter. Okay, this all comes into play. And why? Besides mass, it is roller delayed, but why? It's timing. Timing matters in waveforms. Remember that. When the sound impacts your ears matters. When everything happens matters. It's all a collective. It's a continuum, really. It's a continuum. Limited by DAC resolution, but I mean, you know what I mean. You're really, this is not an on-off. And when you change anything in the action, you're going to change the signature. And your ear is relatively complex. Okay, so this is just some foreshadowing. Don't get too excited. I just wanted to plant some seeds. Just some things to think about. Let your mind wander a little bit. Wander and wonder. I mean, you should just think about these things. Like, think about how long silencers are. Think about how long barrels are. And what can you do? And what helps you? What hurts you? Some good thought experiments to have. Okay? Going to start to move into some different length efficiencies, things like that. And these small compact guns, you start to really understand, well, what is the silencer really doing? In the subsonic regime, gosh, what are some tricks? Yeah, it's going to get interesting. It's like a whole nother vector for Pew Science. Gosh, man, there's so much to explore. I'm so excited. It's going to be great. Topic 3 at a time of 51 minutes and 31 seconds. Upcoming testing? Yes, friends. Excitement? Always. Stay tuned. What about Knight's Armament? What about the KAC silencers? That too. Yeah, gearing up. Several test programs actually happening over the next few months. Yeah, several. Extremely busy schedule this past month, which really crammed in some stuff here in May. It pushed some stuff to May. We've been slammed with a variety of types of work. And so the second quarter is truly going to be gangbusters for Pew Science, which is cool. And I'm stoked about that. I think it'll be good. I think this upcoming test series is going to be important, and it's going to be followed by another one, and then probably by another one after that. So we're going to hit some things a lot of folks have been interested in seeing. It's going to get awesome. Did you guys know, I don't know if you know this, I mentioned the Knight's Armament. Did you guys know I got a QDC and a QDC QCB silencer from a Pew Science member? They're his personal Form 4 babies, dude. On his trust. Yeah. For the effort Pew Science this dude sent them. Another member sent me one of the MAMS brakes. I bought a flash hider. I bought because the guy who gave me the silencers, he's not going to take his KAC flash hider off of his gun. That's crazy. So I bought one from Midway USA. I spent like a couple $100 or like $100, $200. I don't remember how much it was. Then I couldn't find a MAMS brake. This freaking out of the blue, member of the public was like, "Bro, I got a MAMS brake. You want to test it?" He sent it to me, so I got that in. Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah, so we should have a good time getting that data when I can. That'll be coming up. Yeah. The KAC stuff, and Lucas sent me his NT4. We're gonna test. I had tested that already. I'm gonna test it again. I really want to understand that silencer. It's such a prolific silencer. I saw some stuff that was interesting. I'm gonna test it some more. You'll see that too. The KAC stuff, man. It's all member supported, son. You got TRX arms. You got a consumer with a Form 4. You got another guy sending me him out. Knight's Armament. It's all consumer driven for Pew Science. So when the Knight's Armament data gets published, it truly is by the people for the people. It truly is. Let nobody take that away from you. And everyone listening to this podcast, you're all helping in a way. No one's going to take that away from us. What we've done, what we will have done for the community. when it's all said and done. This is you guys are doing this, man. This is a big deal, and you're part of it, and it is awesome. We're doing it together. Who else is? Can you believe what this is? It's amazing, dude. Now that being said, client testing comes first, and then member testing, sure, and then I also do other testing where there's some stuff behind closed doors for Pew Science, technical research. Goes above and beyond what gets published. That's just internal stuff to keep us sharp. Keep ahead of the game. Always learning, always improving. Stuff we do. But just wanted to give you a quick update into some goings on. Some field work is coming up. It's very important for the state of practice. I feel like we will all benefit greatly. Okay, topic 4 at a time. 55 minutes and 21 seconds. All that being said, in the previous topic, I really do want to thank you again for your support. It is true grassroots support. And it's very rare. And all of you knocked it out of the park. I mean, look at this. People are sending silencers and mounts. What more could I even ask for? It is truly impressive. And all these contributions are changing the industry. They're changing the state of practice directly. And I can't believe it. It's not like these consumers are sending me things that are easily available. The guy sent me 2 Knights Armament QDC silencers. It's not like you can just go buy one. They're rarer than hen's teeth, dude. Like, the guy sent me a MAMS mount. He's like, yeah, here you go. You can't buy one of those easily. Consumers are sending me their own unobtainium for the good of the effort. That's how much they're trusting Pew Science, dude. And trusting Pew Science enough to do that, that's a big honor to me. That's crazy. I'm grateful, man. I humbly accept. Okay, these are research gifts, and I hope that the data analysis I can offer to the community in return is enough to thank these wonderful people. It's it's truly exceptional effort by these gentlemen, and I salute you. It's cool. So to all you members who have joined, and to those I have not spoken with to welcome you yet, that's coming soon. Thank you for your patience. To the silencer companies waiting on the testing proposals, those are coming too. Please don't be afraid to ping me. It's always good to do that. So thank you for your interest in Pew Science. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.